Fate has a way of keeping the scales balanced. The universe is like a ledger, and every action, every betrayal, every whisper of doubt, every stone thrown in your path is accounted for. Those who move against you, who scheme in the shadows, believe they are the architects of your downfall. But here's the irony. They are not builders, they are wreckers, and the only thing they end up destroying is themselves. The very traps they set for you become the chains that bind them. The moment they think they've outplayed you, fate writes them out of the story. The ones who throw thorns in your way. They learn too late that life does not forget. The same hands that reach to pull you down will one day grasp at nothing but air. Desperate, realizing too late that the real game was never in their control. Because you, yes, you, the chosen ones, were never just another player. You were the anomaly they never accounted for, the glitch in their system, the shadow they couldn't outmaneuver. You are the force they never saw coming. Let them mock, let them doubt. The power of being chosen isn't in seeking validation. It's in knowing that every attempt to break you only sharpens you. Their attacks, they forge you. Their hate, it fuels you. And the most terrifying thing for them? The realization that you are unstoppable. That every failure they prayed for was actually a stepping stone in your ascent. They don't fear your fall. They fear the day they look up and realize you've risen beyond their reach. They thought they were writing your ending, but they were just footnotes in your legend. Watch how the world shifts in your favor. Watch how every force that worked against you is now powerless to stop what's coming. And when that moment arrives, when your success stands as proof that they were never in control, remember this: the only real vengeance is thriving beyond their comprehension. If you feel the power within you rising, if you know that fate is aligning in your favor, then like this video, subscribe, and step into what's already yours. Because this is just the beginning. Number 1. Stop showing off your intelligence and start using it to stay. 10 steps ahead. There is no greater power than being underestimated. In a world where everyone is desperate to prove how smart, capable, and important they are, the real masterminds move in silence. They let the noise drown itself out. The chosen ones don't waste their breath trying to convince the room of their brilliance. Instead, they let the room believe exactly what it wants. The fools, the ones who crave attention, who mistake loudness for authority, are always the first to expose themselves. They think they're winning the game, parading their so-called wisdom, handing out unsolicited advice, flexing knowledge they barely understand. And yet, they never realize the quietest person in the room is the one collecting all the data. Every arrogant word they spew, every reckless move they make, is being documented in real time by the one person they have completely dismissed. Playing dumb isn't a weakness, it's a weapon, a strategy that allows the chosen ones to move undetected, absorbing every detail while others foolishly lay their cards on the table. When people assume you're clueless, they get comfortable, they get sloppy, they start revealing the very information they should have guarded. They think they have the upper hand, but in reality, they are giving away their entire playbook to the one person who needed it the most. Patience is the chosen one's greatest ally. They don't rush to prove a point. They don't engage in pointless arguments with those who thrive on validation. They let the ignorant bask in their delusions, knowing full well that reality is on their side. Because when the truth finally emerges, it doesn't just expose the foolish, it humiliates them. Nothing is more devastating than realizing that the person you dismissed as unimportant was the one who had been in control all along. The real game isn't about making noise, It's about knowing when to strike. And by the time they realize the quiet observer was actually the architect of their downfall, it's already too late. The chosen ones don't need to defend themselves with words. They don't need applause. They don't need permission to dominate. They operate with a level of intelligence so deep that it terrifies those who once laughed at them. Think of a snake in the grass, silent, unnoticed, watching every move. It doesn't strike in panic. It doesn't attack just because it can. It waits, it observes, and when the moment is right, it delivers a single, precise strike that changes everything. The chosen ones move the same way. Let them underestimate you. Let them assume they have control. Let them think they are in charge. Because when the tables turn, and they always do, their shock will be your greatest victory. They will stand there speechless, wondering how they missed the inevitable. And you'll already be 10 steps ahead. Number 2, quit chasing. Attention and start controlling everything from the sidelines. The chosen ones have never needed the spotlight, while the rest scramble, clawing for recognition, desperate to be seen. You, yes, you, stand at the edges, unseen yet all-knowing. They mistake your silence for insignificance. They think your distance means you're out of the game. But little do they know, you are the game. While they perform for the crowd, you are the one moving the pieces behind the curtain. The outsiders are never truly outside. The world is run by those who observe, not by those who seek validation. You've studied the board long before they even realized they were playing. You've mapped out every move before they've even considered their next step. They think they are in control, but their every action is predictable to you, because their weakness is their need to be noticed. And that is exactly why they will never see you coming. From the sidelines, the chosen ones see everything. The arrogance, the desperation, the empty victories that mean nothing in the grand scheme. You don't fight for a seat at their table because you built the table. While they rush to speak, you gather information. While they waste time proving themselves, you stack every advantage in silence. And by the time they even suspect something is happening, it's already far beyond their control. What they fail to understand is that power doesn't belong to those who shout the loudest. It belongs to those who listen, those who watch, those who calculate. You don't need to announce your moves, because by the time they see them, the game is already over. Your influence is like a whisper in the wind, untraceable yet undeniable. A single action ripples through the system, shifting outcomes, bending reality in your favor. No one can quite pinpoint why things are changing, yet everything aligns perfectly for you. They thought you were just a spectator, but in truth, you've already written the ending. And when they finally realize what has happened, when the dust settles and they are left confused, scrambling, wondering how they lost without even knowing they were in danger, they will look for answers. They will search for the mastermind who outplayed them. And in that moment, as they stare at the ruins of their own arrogance, they will know you were never just watching. You were orchestrating it all. Number 3. Knowing too much is a trap. Here's how to stay powerful without being isolated. Knowledge is power, but for the chosen ones, it is also a burden. When you see beyond the surface, when you understand every move before it happens, you don't just walk through life. You navigate a battlefield where most don't even know a war is being fought. You see the manipulations, the hidden motives, the inevitable outcomes before they unfold. You watch people plot, scheme, and sabotage themselves, all while believing they're in control. And that's where the loneliness begins. Because the truth? It's too heavy for most to carry. If you dare to reveal what you know, if you expose the game before people are ready to see it, they don't thank you. They turn on you. They label you arrogant, dismiss you, or worse, they try to silence you. People don't like being told they've been playing checkers while you've been mastering chess. So you stay quiet. You observe. You let them believe their illusions until reality hits them like a freight train. And when it does, they look foolish. The ones who mocked you, who dismissed your warnings, who thought they were outmaneuvering you, they're now standing in the wreckage of their own miscalculations, scrambling, lost, finally realizing that the game was never in their hands to begin with. This is the price of seeing what others cannot. You don't get the luxury of ignorance. You don't get to be blind to the consequences of people's actions. But while the weight of awareness can be isolating, it is also the greatest advantage. You don't waste energy on pointless battles. You don't get caught in traps set by amateurs. You walk through life with an unshakable certainty that only comes from understanding how everything truly works. The chosen ones don't force the truth on anyone. They don't argue. They don't plead. They don't waste time trying to convince those who refuse to see. They let the game unfold. They wait. And when the time is right, they move with precision, not to prove a point, but to solidify their position as the ones who were always ahead. And by the time the rest of the world catches up, they're already irrelevant, because the chosen ones don't just see the future, they build it. Number 4, let them think you've lost. That's how you win the bigger game. Losing, that's what they think. But the chosen ones don't lose. They recalculate. Every stumble, every so-called failure, every moment where the world thinks you've fallen, it's just another piece of the bigger game being put into place. They laugh, they mock, they assume they've won. But what they don't see is that you were never playing for the small victories. They were. While they dance around celebrating their shallow wins, you are operating on an entirely different level. Their battles, temporary. Their victories, short-lived. Their pride, the very thing that blinds them. Meanwhile, you are sacrificing the meaningless to secure the ultimate prize. You aren't concerned with proving anything in the moment. You aren't desperate to defend yourself, because you know what's coming. The power of the chosen ones is not in avoiding losses. It's in turning losses into leverage. Every moment they counted you out, you were calculating your next move. Every time they ridiculed you, they were unknowingly giving you the freedom to operate in silence. They underestimated you because they thought success was about always being on top. But they never understood the deeper strategy. Sometimes, the smartest move is to fall back, reposition, and let them think they've won. And then comes the strike, the moment they never saw coming. The shift so sudden it leaves them scrambling, questioning everything. They thought they had you figured out, but now they're the ones looking lost. Their loudest voices become silent. Their arrogance turns into disbelief. And as they stand there, trying to piece together where it all went wrong, you are already standing where you planned to be all along. The chosen ones don't recover from losses. They turn them into stepping stones. Their patience, unmatched. Their vision, beyond what ordinary minds can comprehend. While others panic, they stay steady because they knew the storm wasn't chaos, it was a cleansing. And now, the dust has settled. The real game has begun. The chosen ones always knew. Number 5. Insecure people will expose themselves. Just give them enough rope. The chosen ones don't need to expose anyone. The fools do that all on their own. There is no need for confrontation, no need for words, no need to play the games that the insecure thrive on. The moment they step into your presence, their entire facade begins to crack. Because when they stand next to someone who is truly confident, someone who does not beg for validation, someone who operates on an entirely different level, they panic. Fools are creatures of illusion. They build their identity on appearances, on shallow victories, on the desperate need to be seen as important. They survive by convincing others they are more powerful than they truly are. But when they face the chosen ones, those who do not seek approval, those who have mastered the art of silence and patience, they are forced to confront a truth they cannot handle. They were never powerful to begin with. Your presence alone is a mirror, reflecting their deepest insecurities, forcing them to see the cracks they've spent years trying to hide. They feel it instantly, the weight of their own inadequacy creeping in, the uncomfortable realization that their bravado means nothing here, and that's when they start to unravel. They talk too much, they overcompensate, they try to prove themselves to someone who isn't even playing the same game. They scramble for control, trying to assert dominance in a space where true power has already been claimed. The more they try to outshine you, the dimmer they become. Their entire existence is built on the illusion of strength. But illusions don't last under the gaze of the chosen ones. What's most poetic about it all? You never had to do anything. You didn't attack them. You didn't challenge them. You didn't even acknowledge their desperate attempts. They destroyed themselves. The world is full of people who perform for attention, who shout their worth in hopes that someone will believe them. But the chosen ones don't need to shout. They don't need to prove. They are. And that is the most terrifying thing to a fool, because deep down, they know they can never compete with something real. So let them unravel. Let them expose themselves. You were always in control. They just didn't realize it until it was too late. Number 6. Stop running from chaos. Use it to become untouchable. Chaos is where the weak crumble and the chosen rise, the storm that shakes ordinary people to their core. It fuels those who were always built for something greater. The world fears disorder. People cling to comfort, to the illusion of stability, desperately grasping for control. But control was never theirs to begin with. The chosen ones, they don't resist the storm, they become it. When everything is falling apart, most people panic. They react out of fear, trying to glue together what was already broken. But the chosen ones understand a deeper truth. Destruction is just the first step to rebirth. They don't cling to outdated systems, hollow traditions, or fragile structures. They know that sometimes the best move isn't to hold on, it's to let it all burn and build something stronger in the ashes. This is what sets them apart. While the world scrambles in confusion, they remain calm, collected, and untouchable. They don't fear chaos because they recognize its true nature, an opportunity, a reshuffling of the deck, a moment where the rules no longer apply. And when there are no rules, the chosen ones create their own. People don't understand this kind of power. It terrifies them. They watch in disbelief as the chosen ones walk through fire without breaking stride. They mistake fearlessness for recklessness. But the truth is, this isn't recklessness, it's mastery. The chosen ones don't react to chaos. They command it. They use the shifting tides to position themselves ahead, turning every collapse into a stepping stone toward domination. Think of a battlefield. The average soldier is thrown into disarray when the lines break. But the true strategist? They see the opening. They know that in the confusion, power is up for grabs. They don't waste energy trying to restore the old order. They seize the moment and create a new one where they are in control. That's why, in the aftermath, when the dust settles, the landscape looks different. not because the storm has passed, but because the chosen ones reshaped it in their image. And while the rest are left wondering what happened, struggling to pick up the pieces, the chosen ones have already moved on, unshaken, undefeated, and miles ahead. Chaos is not your enemy, it's your tool. And those who don't understand that, they were never in the game to begin with. Number 7. People who praise you today will resent you tomorrow. Stay ready. The chosen ones walk a path that few can handle, a path lined with both admiration and silent resentment. Their mere existence is a contradiction that unsettles the world. People are drawn to their quiet mastery, their ability to move with precision, their effortless success. There's an undeniable magnetism to them, a presence that turns heads, commands rooms, and leaves an unforgettable impact. They don't seek validation, yet it finds them. They don't chase recognition, yet their influence is undeniable. But here's the truth most won't admit. Admiration always has a dark twin: envy. For every person who looks up to the chosen ones, inspired by their composure and brilliance, there's another who secretly despises them, not because they've done anything wrong, but because their very existence exposes an uncomfortable reality. The chosen ones aren't struggling like the rest. While others grind endlessly, drowning in desperation for success, the chosen ones move through life with a natural flow, making things look easy. That contrast stings. It forces people to question their own shortcomings, and instead of facing that truth, they project their frustrations outward. They watch in fascination, waiting for the moment the chosen ones slip up, hoping to witness a downfall. They'll smile in public, but quietly hope for failure. The irony? The very things they resent are the reasons they can't stop watching. They want to see them fall, but they can't look away from their rise. They want to dismiss them, yet they analyze every move they make. This silent battle between admiration and resentment creates a tension that the chosen ones sense, a tension that keeps them both praised and feared. What makes this even more striking? The chosen ones never asked for this attention. They aren't desperate for approval. They aren't trying to prove themselves to anyone. Yet their authenticity shakes people to their core. Because when someone walks in full confidence, without begging for validation, it reminds the insecure of everything they lack. That's why the admiration they receive always comes with an undercurrent of doubt, jealousy, and even hostility. This is the price of being exceptional. It's the cost of standing out in a world that rewards mediocrity. The chosen ones don't just succeed. They challenge the way others see themselves. They make people confront insecurities they'd rather ignore. And for that, they are both celebrated and misunderstood. But that's the game, and the chosen ones already knew how it played out long before anyone else even realized they were in it. Number 8. Instant success is a lie. Play the long game and own the future. The world is obsessed with speed. Everyone is chasing the next big thing, the next moment of validation, the next fleeting victory. But chosen ones, they don't play that game. While others scramble for instant success, burning themselves out trying to prove their worth, the chosen ones are building something that lasts. The difference? They are not in a hurry, because they know that the true game is about endurance, not speed. Patience is their weapon, and discipline is their armor. The world calls them slow, out of touch, even passive. But what they fail to see is the strategy in motion. The chosen ones don't chase applause. They don't fall into the trap of temporary wins, and they don't waste energy proving themselves to people who won't even matter in the long run. Instead, they move in silence, laying foundations so deep that no force can shake them. And while others laugh, Mistaking patience for weakness, the chosen ones are always calculating. They let the desperate ones rush to the front, exhausting themselves in a race that was never even important. They observe, they learn, and they wait. And when they finally make their move, it's not just a win, it's a shift so undeniable that the entire landscape changes. The fools, the impatient ones, the ones who mocked them. By the time they realize what happened, they're already out of the game. Their momentary victories have faded into nothing, while the chosen ones have built legacies. They don't just win, they redefine success itself. The most terrifying thing about the chosen ones: they don't need validation, they don't get distracted by trends, they don't chase worthless competition, and they never trade power for attention. They exist in their own timeline, knowing that while the world obsesses over quick wins, they are securing something no storm can take away. So let them doubt, let them underestimate, let them believe they have won. Because one day they will look around and realize they were never even playing the real game. Number 9. Being an open book makes you weak. Stay mysterious and unpredictable. They never truly understood you, and that's exactly how you wanted it. The world fears what it cannot define, and the chosen ones, they are the anomaly that refuses to be put in a box. While others desperately seek to be understood, to be accepted, to have their names carved into conversations, they move in silence, letting the noise consume itself. Misunderstanding isn't a weakness, it's a weapon. Let them believe they've figured you out. Let them create their theories, their false narratives, their assumptions. They will sit in circles dissecting your moves, trying to predict your next step, never realizing that every thought they waste on you is time you've already used to advance. The more they focus on the illusion, the further they are from the truth. And that truth? You were never playing the game they thought you were. The brilliance of the chosen ones lies in their ability to be a mirage, always present, yet never fully grasped. People think they see you, but what they are really seeing is a carefully placed decoy, a projection meant to keep them distracted while you operate where no one is looking. They assume you are passive, that you are unaware, but by the time they realize the truth, the pieces have already been moved, and they are left questioning everything they thought they knew. Correcting misconceptions is a fool's game, and the chosen ones never play it. The moment you explain yourself, you give away control. You invite unnecessary scrutiny, you allow them to set the narrative. But when you stay quiet, when you let them believe whatever they want, that's when you become untouchable. The unknown is what keeps them restless, keeps them doubting, keeps them spiraling into their own insecurities. They call you arrogant because you refuse to explain. They call you secretive because they can't decode your moves. But what they don't realize is that their confusion is by design. You never needed to be understood. You never needed their validation. In a world obsessed with labeling everything, you've mastered the power of being the question no one can answer. And by the time they finally catch on, they look foolish. They spent all their energy trying to define you, only to realize you've already defined yourself, on your own terms, in a way they could never comprehend. Number 10. Stop searching for success. Operate like you already own it. Success isn't something the chosen ones chase. It's embedded in their very existence. While the rest of the world is caught in a desperate race for validation, approval, and fleeting victories, the chosen ones already stand victorious. Not because they have the loudest applause or the most recognition, but because they define success on their own terms. They don't beg for a seat at the table. They build their own throne and let the world watch in confusion. The fools, the doubters, the ones who constantly need to prove themselves. They measure success by how many people clap for them, how many likes they receive, how much external validation they can collect. But the chosen ones, they already know they've won long before the world even realizes they were playing. Their victories are not measured in applause, but in growth, resilience, and an unshakable internal compass. To outsiders, it might seem like the chosen ones take losses. It might look like they've stumbled, like they've been outplayed. But here's what the world doesn't see. Every so-called failure is a calculated pivot. Every setback is simply a reloaded weapon, aimed with more precision than before. While others scrambled to recover from embarrassment, the chosen ones have already moved on, unbothered, refining their approach, using every challenge as fuel. They don't react, they adapt. They don't flinch, they strategize. And by the time anyone realizes they were never truly down, they've already claimed another victory. That's why they terrify those who try to bring them down. You can't break someone who isn't playing by your rules. You can't shake someone who doesn't need your approval to feel powerful. The most unsettling thing for those who stand against the chosen ones, the realization that no matter what they do, the chosen always rise. Their silence speaks louder than the noise of the masses. Their presence alone sends a chill down the spines of those who once doubted them. So let them think you've lost. Let them think they've won. Because when they finally catch on, when they finally realize you were never in the game for their petty rewards, it will be too late. They will look foolish. You will stand untouchable. Because chosen ones don't seek success. They are success. Number 11, make people uncomfortable with the truth without saying a word. The presence of a chosen one is like an unfiltered mirror, one that does not distort, does not flatter, and does not allow for self-deception. The moment you step into their energy, all illusions are stripped away. There's no room for pretense, no space for ego-driven masks. They don't have to say a word. Their very existence forces those around them to confront their deepest insecurities. Most people live in carefully crafted lies, shielding themselves with false confidence, fragile bravado, and empty validation. They surround themselves with distractions, with noise, with anything that keeps them from looking too closely at who they really are. But when they meet a chosen one, all of that crumbles. Why? Because the chosen ones do not seek approval. They do not play the validation game. They do not beg for acceptance, and that alone is enough to send a wave of panic through the insecure. It's an invisible battle, a war fought in silence. They will smile at you. They will pretend everything is normal, but inside, they are wrestling with demons they thought they had buried. Standing next to you forces them to see themselves with brutal clarity. They start questioning their choices, their ambitions, their worth. Not because you said anything, but because they realize, without even trying, you have already surpassed them. Your presence alone dismantles their carefully constructed delusions. This is why some people will resent you without reason. They will try to diminish your energy, dismiss your wisdom, or turn others against you. Not because you've wronged them, but because they cannot handle the reflection you create. You are a reminder of everything they pretend to be, but are not. You move with certainty while they are lost in confusion. You stand firm in your truth while they are prisoners of their own lies. The weak will avoid you. The insecure will speak against you. But those who are truly ready to evolve, they will embrace the discomfort, no matter how painful. Because deep down, they know that this confrontation is the first step toward true transformation. And the ones who can't handle it? Let them run. Let them crumble. Let them expose themselves. The chosen ones don't chase. They don't force change. They just exist, and that alone is enough to shake the world. Number 12. The ultimate power move. Walk away and let them chase you. There comes a moment when the chosen ones realize something that shakes the entire foundation of those still trapped in the game. Winning was never the goal. While others chase trophies, validation, and a desperate sense of superiority, the chosen ones have already outgrown the entire playing field. The real power move is not in dominating the board, it's in walking away from it entirely. You see, the fools still believe they're in control. They think they're outmaneuvering, outcompeting, outshining, but they fail to see the truth. The game was never designed for them to win. It was built to keep them running in circles, scrambling for meaningless victories while the chosen ones operate on a completely different level. And when the moment comes, when the chosen ones step back, it is not a retreat. It is the final devastating checkmate. No grand speeches, no dramatic exits, just a quiet, calculated move that leaves everyone stuck in the very cycle they thought they had mastered. They scramble, looking around, realizing too late that the very person they tried to beat was never even competing. They will ask, where did they go? How did they disappear so effortlessly? But by the time they start to question, the chosen ones are already too far ahead, beyond their reach, beyond their understanding, beyond the limits of a game that never held any real value to begin with. This is what terrifies them the most, the realization that their greatest opponent was never actually bound by the same rules, that their desperate need for approval, for validation, for status meant nothing. Because the true elite, the true chosen ones, create their own world. They don't chase recognition. They become something so undeniable that their existence itself reshapes the landscape. The masses will keep playing, keep chasing, keep begging to be noticed. The chosen ones, they move in silence. They watch from the outside, untouchable, unbothered, operating at a level that no amount of clout, no amount of accolades, and no amount of recognition can ever reach. The game was never about winning. It was about knowing when to leave it behind. And that, chosen ones, is what makes you truly unstoppable. If you feel this shift, if you know you were never meant to play by their rules, then like this video, subscribe, and step into what's already yours. Because while they fight for a crown in a kingdom that doesn't matter, you're already building an empire of your own.